Welcome to the Infrastructure Network, where we bridge the civil infrastructure education gap. Our on-demand video education courses, captivating podcast episodes, interactive virtual events, and tailored shows are all designed to spotlight innovative solutions and professionals dedicated to fixing America's deteriorating infrastructure. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Infrastructure Network. My name is Chad Smeltzer. I am your host. Today's guest is Tom Moore, who's the VP of Operations at Vepo Solutions and the CEO and president of 123 Backflow Testing. Thanks for joining me, Tom.
Thanks for having me, Chad.
Tom, how did you get started in civil infrastructure? That's the way I start these podcasts. And, obviously audience is always wanting to get the backstory.
I think we all get involved by mistake, right? So I got involved to pay off a debt to change water meters for a friend that thought it'd be a good idea for me to do that for New York City and Department of Environmental Protection. So I did that from 2008, 2009, and I hit it off. I liked it.
Wow. So you lived in New York, or you started in New York?
I still live in New York, yep.
Okay. And then a funny thing, you mentioned Department of Environmental Protection in New York City. I did that one time, met with them. That was a very interesting experience when you're trying to work with the New York City.
Red tape.
Lots of red tape. Wow. It is so politically, just bureaucracy there. It was amazing to see how that all works. But let's go back to your friend got you to start the backflow stuff, right?
So I started metering, right? And then the company that I worked with doing meters was required to get backflow testers on staff. So they got me certified to test backflow devices. And I saw opportunity in the market there where nobody really knew what backflow was. I said, hey, let me jump onto this, create a little side, stream of income. And it's become something pretty nice.
Now, what is backflow for the audience?
The simple version is it prevents the water in your house from going into the city's potable water system. So a backflow device is installed usually at your water meter, and it won't allow for the water to go back out into the city.
Now, these backflow preventer devices, where do they get installed?
They get installed at your water meter. So like up north by me, it's in your basement, right by your water meter. Down south, it's, like in Florida, they're in meter pits right outside in the front of your house, right next to it. Not everybody has it, but depending on the degree of hazard that your property proposes is what deems you to have a backflow or not.
Which is interesting because I think of, why would I need one at my house, right? Why would I need a backflow preventer at my meter? I mean, it's only an 1.5 inch or inch line, right? So I'm not going to backflow a ton of stuff in there, but curious of why.
In-ground irrigation systems, usually some water systems want a backflow because if there's any chemicals in it, they don't want it going back into the system. If you have a pool, because then pool have pool chemicals or stuff like that. That's what the residential degrees of hazard are. Commercial gets, crazy, but the residential stuff, that's what it has.
That makes sense. Especially, and you mentioned fire trucks, that's always one of those things where, it's a large volume of stuff that could be put back into the system from a fire, I guess, at some point in time.
Yeah. So a lot of people how the heck can water go backwards? It's always going forward. I open my sink, it's going forward. It can go backwards because of, demands on the system. If somebody opens your fire hydrant outside, that's a crazy demand on the system. And, if somebody's fighting a fire, they're pumping water. So that creates a suction and just brings water in from everywhere.
Oh, wow. Has that ever happened? I'm assuming it had to happen at some point.
Yeah. The American Backflow Prevention Association has all these documented incidents to scare the hell out of everybody. But yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I've never heard of it in the news or anything like that. And, you never really learn much about it out there.
When it comes to the news, it's unless Flint happens, you don't really see a lot of water utility stuff in the news, right? Because it gets taken care of, it's addressed, and that's it. It's got to make the news to be, a water utility thing in the news.
Right. And you mentioned water meters too. You work on water meters?
So one of the companies I run, one of the divisions replaces water meters across the country, right? So Vepo Metering replaces water meters. We partner with, these big distributors that provide a solution to water utilities to supply meters, supply metering infrastructure, and supply the installation for the meter.
So Vepo Solutions do they use a specific kind of meter. Let's go into a little bit about water meters because I'd love to learn the history of meters. And I've talked to other people about the meters, but I'm curious on your perspective. From what I understand is the meters that are in my house they were manual meters at one point in time, right? They just were spinning just based on flow, right? Now we got the census or whatever ones in there, the smart meters that are so to speak, that had radio frequencies. They send the signal, and everybody can pull the data off of those smart meters, so to speak. But I guess my question is to you is, what are some of the issues with meters, and why would people need to have replacements and things like that if they already put them in one time?
So meters lose accuracy over time, right? And I'll only speak for water. Other entities do electric and gas. I know water. I'm not going to, speak for what I don't know, but water meters lose accuracy over time, right? So because they lose accuracy, they need to be changed every, it used to be manufacturer recommendation, used to be every 10 years. Now, most meters are 20-year recommendation to replace. But what you were talking about reading, it's usually the meter transmitters that are sending the signal, right? So there's manual reading. Then there's, I'm going to call it touch reading, where they can go to the outside of your house, press a button and get the reading. Then there's AMR reading, where you can drive by the house and pick up the signal. Then there's AMI reading, which goes to a data collector, which will then go back to the water utility. And then there's cellular. So those are all the different kinds of meter reading components now.
So I would imagine that each city is different because that's just the way it goes. Yeah, I figured. So what does that picture look like with these cities? So we have, 19,000 water systems, or no, I think there's even more than that water systems out there. I think there's over 50,000 water systems, something like that. Yeah, there's a lot. But what type of meters are commonly used or still in place now?
You're referring to manufacturers?
Not manufacturers, but I guess the type of AMR, AMI, what is the common, I guess, way of taking a reading?
So everybody looks now, most utilities use touch read, and they're transitioning to AMI or AMR or cellular. That's the way of the future now, right? Not having to roll a truck to go get a reading and stuff like that. That's what utilities are looking to, go forward to. And that also allows, the resident, the property owner, to have metrics on their meter if there's a leak, if there's, abnormal flow, if there's reverse flow, if there's something like that. You can't get that with touch read. You can't get that with manual read. So the way of the future today is AMR, AMI, and cellular.
Got it. How many utilities do you think are out there that still don't have those in place?
I think water is probably most in its infancy. We're changing a few 100,000 meters a year that are straight direct reads, manual reads, and touch reads. So I think last stat I heard, and don't quote me on this, but last stat I heard was we were, 20%, converted to AMI, AMR, and the rest still had to be done.
So we're not even close to smart systems at all for these, these cities and communities. Wow. We have a lot of work to do because as I'm learning more about underground utilities and, the water meters, and basically everything that's going on in civil infrastructure is so far behind just from all the people I've spoken to in these podcasts and things that, we are just in that investment gap makes a lot more sense, right? Of that, where our infrastructure is just failing because we just don't have the data to really make smarter decisions because we don't have the instruments or devices out there to do the work for us.
Correct. I think on one of your last episodes, you were talking about lead service line replacement and stuff like that. To even think of that these meters are being replaced and they still have lead service in the ground. Where are we? Are we third world? Right.
Right. Seriously. No, that's no joke, man. We are in a weird place in America with infrastructure, and it doesn't seem like any federal people are out there even paying attention to it. They got other agendas, but man, that sucks. It should be where, one of your clients, a city, right, should be able to sit at their desk at a fingertips and know where everything is within the system. And know how it's functioning.
Operating efficiently and so forth. Yep.
We're not even close to that from the way it sounds with all these analytics.
Fortunately or unfortunately, once you install these, you have to maintain them too, right? So there's questions about, hey, the meter reader is going to, be out of a job and this and that. I think it's far from that, because I think what happens is these AMI systems open opportunities for diagnosing issues, troubleshooting, making sure, your system's working and operational 100%, right?
Yeah. That's interesting you say that, because if you start looking at the way water systems function, right, everything comes from a pump, sucks the water in from a source, right? It's kind of simple if you really start to narrow it down and granularize it. Comes in from a pump that measures the water flow at some GPM. I'm sure there's something there. And then through the distribution system, there's all these other meters and systems out there that would obviously also, if you had the smart devices in place, could track all the volume, the pressure, things like that. And then we would have a better way of finding leaks, for example. We were kind of mentioning.
Yeah. And there are some cool new meters that are coming out that actually track leaks and do better, give better metrics around leaks. So we are getting better and better and better, but we need to all get better and better and better.
No doubt, man. It's where do you see the future of this all going down the road?
So I'm one of those guys that have smart widgets all over his house. I have, smart lights, smart, blinds, smart everything. So applying that at the utility level, applying that, at the smart city level, I'm obsessed with the smart city concept. It's just cool. It gives you more peace of mind to know that you're operating, more efficiently and so forth, right? It might be expensive. It might be a tough lift, but it's the way to go, right? We have these metrics, these, AI, that's what it's about, right?
You got it, man. We have this. Here's the thing. We have the technology. We just have no acceptance of the technology from the way it sounds. And the money's there. If you really start doing the math on the budget and the amount of money that's being spent throughout the country every year on water and wastewater, right? Just those two in general are about $113 billion annually, right? Over 10 years, that's over $1 trillion.
There are distributors that we work with today that are willing to front the front end of the bill for putting together these smart cities in order to expedite them. But so it's there. It's definitely there.
So that would be a good business model, because you put them in, you can track the analytics, you can have all that advantage of just providing intelligence to the city, and then for anything else you want to do with the data. But really, to really help the communities, that's important. I'm sure eventually somebody's going to pay. It's
of course. Yeah, no, it's not. It's definitely not. Yeah, exactly. No, I just mean a lot of water utilities have the issue of, hey, I can't pay for this. How do you expect me to pay for this, right? Getting it up front is, okay, now it's not an issue. But now that money's not an issue, what do you want to do, right?
Right. So what do you think about I guess my question would be is, what are some of your struggles as an owner of a business who wants to come in with his meter technology and backflow preventing devices and things like that? What are some of the obstacles you have to overcome?
I guess the simple way for me to answer it on that front is, so we don't usually sell the meter technology, right? We are an agnostic company, I'm going to say, that works with everybody. We go in with a partner that sells us as part of a solution, right? So I'm not going knocking on the door saying, Mr. Water Utility, I'd like to change your meters. I'm going in as part of a solution where it's, here's A to Z. We're going to do this all for you. And when it's done, we're going to give you the baby. Okay. So that's the good part about, the space that I live in. We also have some software products that assist with the utilities. So we're not usually actively selling our products. We're selling by reference and example, if that, makes sense. And even in the backflow side, we're doing the same thing. So 2009, I started the backflow business, and we started doing some Google marketing. And today we have, almost 20,000 backflow tests that we do in New York City Metro every single year. And we didn't get that due to knocking on doors. We did that because of the service we provide, and people, call fire.
Yeah. Customer focus, referrals are always, that's the way you grow a business, man. 100%. And when did you start these companies? Or at least 1, 2, 3 back?
1, 2, 3 Backflow was 2009.
2009. That's right. Okay. Got it. So you've been in business a long time, my man. Now I'm putting them out.
A labor of love, right? That's what they call it.
Yeah. And what do you think is so difficult to grab market share, since you're an entrepreneur and I've done this too? Difficulty of expanding and growing a business in civil infrastructure. What does that look like to you, since you've been in business that long?
I think it's fine. It might not necessarily mean grabbing market share. It might be grabbing the right customer, right? So we have customers that are 100,000 meters and customers that are 5,000 meters. And, as long as they're the right customer for us, they're good. I don't, to me, it's not a numbers game of how many meters we're going to put in. To me, it's how many customers we're going to make happy and how many, we have 100 technicians right now that I want to make sure are satisfied with what they do every day. I want you proud to be working with Vepo. I want you proud to be, waking up every morning, right? So that's more my focus rather than market share. But I'm an operations guy. I'm not the sales guy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that answer. You're spot on. My thing is it's always been hard in civil infrastructure for the businesses I either worked with or I built. It's always been a struggle to grab market share because there's always someone else that's got the connection or established the connection or has the relationship, right? And then you're trying to overcome or persuade a different way of looking at things with like technology, right? It's a better way. It's going to make it faster, more efficient. But grabbing that market share and convincing people that this is a better way, better mousetrap, so to speak, is somewhat difficult sometimes.
I think what we're up against usually as the meter installer, so we're not price focused, right? So there are meter installers out there that are going to be the least expensive, right? And I don't think we can be the least expensive because what I want is I want the best technician showing up to your house to change your meter. I want the best piece of software in your hand. I want the best experience for that customer, and that there comes a cost, right?
Yeah. No, you're spot on, man. That's so true. Because if we don't have quality,
what do you have?
You got nothing. Yeah, so true. Yeah. How do you deal and overcome procurement? Because procurement for me was always a struggle dealing with, working with the city. We meet, we talk, we set everything up. And then all of a sudden, it's, you got to go out to bid, even though we established that relationship, now it's got to go out to bid. And how do you handle some of that stuff these days? Because procurement's getting tighter, it seems.
With the bigger utilities, it's, I'm going to say near impossible, right? There are certain people that, they want what they want and that's it. In today's world, the RFPs and RFIs, where they spec, a certain product based on, hey, that's what we want, that's what we need for our water utility. That's usually the way, that procurement happens today. It's not necessarily, hey, I have 500 million water meters I have to replace. Give me the top bid to the bottom bid. It's prove to me how you can implement this system, execute this system, and do a great job. And, it's not always price-based. So that's usually what helps.
Yeah, being a best value kind of concept is the way to go. And quality, right? Validating, your services. And that's kind of the way I see the future of civil infrastructure. Procurement's going to change. There has to be more transparency. There can't be more of these kind of backdoor kind of arrangements that are set up because those things ultimately will come bite you in the butt down the road, So, yeah, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole today, but it's one of those things where I'm going to at some point in time. But, that's the thing is companies like yours that are, successful, providing a quality service, value. It's remarkable to find those now because everything's getting acquired too. Other companies. Have you noticed a lot of companies getting acquired in your space?
Yeah. So in the meter space, your goal is to get acquired by somebody that's going to kind of gobble you up, right? I don't necessarily know that's our goal, right? We're onto something that I think we're looking to add a software or a service to the customer. We're changing a meter, we're offering software, stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a different play, but the acquisition, I mean, that's kind of everybody's goal, right? I've been doing a lot of reading lately on, the baby boomers and all the baby boomers retiring and stuff like that. That's all acquisitions that are happening today, right? All the pipe fabrication places that are people in their 60s that are looking to kind of check out and their kids are doing, something else, right? You got to do something or close it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right, man. That's the thing I noticed is there's a lot of acquisitions going on, but there's a ton of civil engineering firms still out there. There's the smaller communities. And my biggest struggle is okay, well, if we're going to have all these civil infrastructure firms, they need to start adopting these technologies and these new metering systems and things like that. But here's the thing, they don't always have the ratepayers. There's not enough ratepayers and stuff like that to pay the bills, so to speak. And there's a big struggle there with adopting technology, but not having the funding. And it becomes kind of a mess. Any insight into that stuff?
Politically, I'll probably stay out of that.
Good choice. I'm on fire today, by the way, so I apologize. I'm all right. Somebody's let's light it up, right?
Friday. No, it's not even Friday yet.
What's funny though, this isn't the hot seat, but I kind of put you in the hot seat, just FYI today. So yeah. But let's go back into a little bit more about the future of civil infrastructure, the procurement processes, things that are all kind of play out. You're seeing designing of civil infrastructure happening with technology now, with generative AI, and it is happening. It's here, right? It's not going anywhere. It's only going to make things more efficient and it's going to lower costs. It has to, right? Because you're not spending as much time building out, designing, planning, developments, things like that. It's all done with a computer. What do you think about that for the future of your businesses?
You're either going to adapt to AI or you're going to close or sell. There's no other choice. There isn't. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but it's true. I tell my team every day we implement these new little widgets and pieces of software, and they'll leave me alone with that. And I'm like, we either adapt or we die, and that's it.
Yeah. No, it's true, because if not, your competitor's doing the same thing, right? It's if I can walk into a city and I can say, hey, I can save you 30, 50% on whatever you're doing, saving you budget to put towards fixing the infrastructure versus metering or inspection, whatever might be out there, right? It's a game winner for me and a game winner for the city. So whatever I can bring in to leverage that relationship, yeah. It's kind of a good place to be. So right now, I even say it. I said it yesterday on LinkedIn. It's best time to even start a business right now is now. If you're a civil infrastructure engineer, in that space and you have great ideas, you can do a lot.
We said earlier about this being the beginning, right? Like this is the beginning of the smart city revolution, right? Like this is we're going to be old and gray when this is implemented. So this is our time.
And then Tom, you and I will be on another podcast, just with our gray hair and it's just like, hey, remember that time? Yeah, that'd be funny. But all right, so we got like 6 minutes left. I want to know a little bit more about you. What do you like to do outside of just water meters and backflow preventers and work?
I have 2 little girls. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I want to spend every minute with them that I'm not dealing with water meters and backflow.
Nice. Well, that acquisition thing might come into play sometime. You might be able to do that.
We were in Disney last week, so they had the time of their life. Besides that, I think that my family's my pastime, of course.
Yeah. What do you think about just with families and traveling and all these different ways we connect in civil infrastructure? Is there a way to do it digitally now or through this, like video wise? Just curious.
You'd be surprised at how much of that you can do digitally.
Do you do some of this now? Like, do you work with like cities and talk like this?
So, I mean, post COVID, 99% of our meetings are Zoom, right? So like we're running projects in 24 states today, right now. And I'm sitting from Long Island, New York, looking at Nassau Coliseum over here, running those projects, right? So we have boots on the ground in all those states. It's being done right now as we speak.
You're right, man, because I've been talking to some project managers who are building churches down in Texas, right? And he's a project manager, but he only travels down there once or twice a month just to check on the projects, to be physically there, but he does everything remote. It's kind of crazy the way things have shifted so much.
You have to build a sandbox for the customer though, so that they're comfortable with that, right? So like we've got dashboards and metrics for our customers to see. Like we've got traveling project managers that are above us that are watching things, and they could go to a computer right now and see what we're doing, right? The transparency on the metrics are what everybody needs.
Yeah. Wow. I was going to say something like, what happens when AI does replace a lot of our jobs though? What does that look like?
I think there's always something innovative after that, right? So like I was introduced to smart backflow devices, and I'm going to put that in air quotes, right? And these backflow devices, they test themselves, right? So I'm a backflow device tester from 2010, and that's going to phase me out, right? Do I get nervous about it, or do I look to become the Uber of backflow testing and get on this wave, right? Like it's one thing or the other. You innovate or you go to sleep.
Right, like we said before. Yeah, you're spot on, man. So Tom, we're at the end of the show. How can people get a hold of you, and what's the best way to reach out?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm on my Smart City Revolution nonsense. I'm active on your page just because I love the content you put out. So you could definitely find me there. I'd say it's the easiest way. They're coming to a city near you.
Love it. Yeah, I tell you, LinkedIn with the post-COVID virtual, virtual LinkedIn. It's like the win-win combination for networking and educating and just, putting the everything.
And it's almost spam free, right?
Almost. It's getting it's getting rough though. My messages, I was gonna text him and be like, "Hey man, can you get," like, text him, but email LinkedIn and be like, "Hey, can you fix this? You got too much spam going on." But it started, like, I can only imagine what it's like for city officials these days when they used to call them all the time to try and set up meetings and all that stuff, man. Yeah, now they're getting LinkedIn invites. You're right. And then, dude, I always ask this on my LinkedIn. It's like, does anybody call anybody anymore? Like, does anybody do that? Because I don't think there is anybody still doing that, but you never know.
Partner at Vepo, when we go to order lunch together, and I'm always ordering on Uber Eats or Seamless or something like that. He's like, "You don't pick up the phone and call anybody?" No, I'm sorry.
I love how you had the accent. They just picked up with the accent. You don't call anybody anymore. Like, I missed that accent when I lived in.
Sorry, that's the New Yorker in me.
It is the New Yorker. You got it, man. Well, thank you so much, Tom.
I appreciate it.
Love having you on here. And if there's ever anything that comes up in the future, I'll definitely
appreciate that. Thanks.
There's a lot more topics. Yeah, there's a lot more topics to talk about, and we kind of scratched the surface on some stuff. So it's great to know you and meet you, and have the audience learn a little.
Keep spreading the good word with your podcast.
Thanks, brother. We will. And you have a good day. Become part of our network today. Thank you for tuning into the Infrastructure Network. We're dedicated to rebuilding and educating on America's infrastructure, but we can't do it without your help. Share this content, join our conversations, and let's innovate together for a resilient future. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights. Together, we can bridge the gaps and strengthen our nation. See you on the next episode.